This episode of Chi Life is a little bit of an update regarding coronavirus and a few comments about that. Hopefully I'm going to have some interesting and worthwhile things to say if you watch the rest of the video. Boy, things can really change quickly sometimes. So I haven't said too much about the coronavirus situation so far on this channel. I did make one video a little while ago and haven't spoke about it too much since then. Partly that has been because I have been traveling and as well as doing my normal work. There's, all of the things that go along with being in a different place. And partly it has also been because I haven't wanted to feed into the hysteria, which there's a fair amount of, I think, at the moment, or also capitalize on something going on, to just take advantage of that situation. But that situation is changing quite quickly, and I think it's becoming more relevant to talk about some of these things. So I'm going to talk more about that later. But for now, I'll tell you about my situation, a little bit of human interest, as this is the Chi Life vlog channel. You can hear what's going on with me. So I was due to fly out I was going to Montenegro at about midnight tonight, and just shortly before I was due to go to the airport, I heard from someone in Montenegro saying, they've shut the borders to everyone except residents. And then I tried to get hold of the airline. Of course I couldn't, so I ended up going to the airport and so I could talk to someone in person because I couldn't get anyone on the phone. And I'm pretty sure they would have just checked me in and let me board the flight, but I insisted they check if I would actually be able to enter when I got to Montenegro. And after quite a while of looking around and going between different people, they looked and found that in fact I would not be able to enter the country. So of course they denied me boarding, which is probably just as well, because otherwise I may have ended up stranded in an airport somewhere. So instead I've been stranded in Bali, which doesn't sound too bad. It's rather a nice place, but the problem is more and more countries are just closing their borders, and this has been happening very rapidly, just over the space of a few days. Bang, 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 bang. And then on top of that, to make complications further, more and more airlines are just cancelling flights, and so I can't stay in Bali forever because my visa waiver won't allow me to stay here forever. And I've got a few more days I could stay, but the problem is that if I leave that too long, maybe there won't be flights available, and I end up in a really sticky situation at the end of that. So this has caused rather a change in my plans. I am having to head back to New Zealand, which, if you followed the channel a little bit, I had a video with sort of quite a big announcement saying I'm leaving New Zealand, and now I'm needing to go back, at least for the short term. May not be super short term given what's going on. I think a lot of this is going to take a number of months to play out, and that's just how it is. When I go back there, I'm going to have to self-quarantine or self-isolate for 2 weeks. And that's just how it is. And I think I strongly encourage anyone watching this video, whatever the requirements are in your country with regard to health measures, quarantines, isolation, travel restrictions, whatever they are, please comply with them. Please do what we're being asked. Different countries are taking different strategies. Allow those strategies to work. Do what you need to do for that. But yeah, that's my situation, and sometimes that's how life is. Things just come out of the blue, and it's expensive for me given all of because I no longer have a home in New Zealand. I was leaving New Zealand, so wrapping everything up, getting rid of all of my furniture, all of my, selling some things, giving away a lot. I don't have things to go back to. And so between that, and because now of course I'm going to have to buy things again and set things up again, at least for some time, oh, by the way, not surprisingly, the training in Thailand is cancelled now. Cancelled that a few days ago as things were escalating. So between that, costs related to the retreat in Thailand that are sunk costs, because I am refunding everyone fully, and then also cancelled flights that will not be refunded, and extra flights booked, and all of the different bits and pieces. It's probably cost me $7,000 New Zealand dollars, that is, in direct costs. So not cheap, but sometimes this is just what happens. So I'm telling you this not as a sob story to feel pity for me, but maybe so you understand. I guess the level that it's affecting some people, because it's affecting me quite a lot, and I know it's affecting a whole lot of other people even more. And for those of you who are being affected in a big way by this, I can understand where you're coming from as well. I'm going to be going into self-isolation for 2 weeks as soon as I get back to New Zealand. And so this is part of how the situation is changing. It's not so much that anything has really changed with the disease, but a lot of the factors around the disease have changed. And this is affecting people in a big way, and I think this is going to continue over some time. And so I think for this reason, people are going to need more support over this next little while. I, for one, I'm very fortunate. While I say I don't have a home in New Zealand anymore, I still have family members and some friends there, and they are going to support me and help me when I get back, which is going to make this whole business of self-isolation and so on much easier for me. And so I'm very fortunate to have that, and very grateful to them for being willing to help me and support me in that way. And hopefully many people do have that kind of support as well. Some people won't, though. People are going to need support in lots of different ways. So I think it's a time for us to comply with anything about social distancing and things like that, but to be very aware of other people and have compassion towards them and see if we can help in whatever way that we can. I think as well, in relationship to Qigong particularly, because again, obviously a lot of what I do is teaching Qigong and things to do with Qi. Continuing to practice Qigong is really important for those of you who are already doing it. If you haven't already started, I think it's a good thing to do as well. Just to start, because it really does help with your health and help to build your defenses. One of the reasons, again, why I haven't spoken too much about coronavirus is for most people, you don't need any special magic Qigong formula at this point. What you need is to continue on with the practice that you're already doing. You don't need a magic new thing. It's like many of the preventative measures for slowing down the spread of the coronavirus. Washing your hands, keeping a distance from people. These are not magical new things. They're simple things, and we just need to do those simple things. It's the same with our Qigong largely. We just need to carry on and have our regular practice, or maybe put a little more focus on it, but you don't need a new magic technique or routine to get those benefits. From a Chinese perspective, and look, really any holistic perspective, I think, the number one thing for your immunity is to have an abundance of healthy, good Qi in you. So that doesn't come from any one thing. And so whatever practice that you're doing, if it's a good, balanced practice, is going to build and help to give you that abundance of healthy Qi, and then that naturally flows. Now, there are, of course, some things specifically to do with the Wei Qi, the defensive Qi, and so on. But even more important than that is just having an abundance of Qi in the first place. And whatever good practice you do is going to help you with that. So again, that said, I know a lot of people are going to be really interested in, how Qigong affects immunity and some of the other things around that, because again, it's not just Qigong, eating well, your mental state, all these things, they're all really important. So I am planning, as soon as I'm able to put together, I don't want to do something too superficial. I want to do something that has a little bit of depth to really help people understand some of these things, but some things about Qigong and immunity. And it won't just be about coronavirus, it'll be some general things so that, this is useful, beyond this time, useful to people in many ways. So, I'm still in the midst of booking more flights and figuring out my details of getting out of here, and then when I arrive. But hopefully that won't be too far away. But like I said, you don't need to be too anxious waiting for it. Just carry on with your existing practice. The other thing in terms of support is that, again, I'm so lucky to have a community, family, friends who are supporting me and what I need right now. And that's really important as well, to have that support. And some of that is like physical support, and some of it is mental and emotional support. And at Long White Cloud Qigong, we do have a community. We have an international community of people and instructors and students all over the world, joined together by their passion for Qigong, their interest in health and wellness, and of course practicing some of the Long White Cloud Qigong practices. And one of the things, again, if you've been following this channel, or maybe if you get the newsletter from longwhitecloudqigong.com, you know that a little while ago I actually surveyed people about this, because it's been something I've been thinking about for quite some time, and that is offering some live streaming Qigong classes and also Q&As, because I think that's so valuable, not just practicing and doing the exercises, but being able to talk and discuss and understand the details of what you're doing. And so I'm going to be looking to put that into place as soon as I can as well. It might be a little bit of time, but that's something you can look out for, because again, without needing to do any magical new thing, having that support, that interaction with other people can help to lift your spirits, encourage you to continue with your Qigong practice, because this is something that's really important. When there are situations beyond our control, which largely this one is, we can still, what's really important is our response. We might not be able to control the situation, but we can influence our own response. And there's a natural response when things are scary. Maybe it induces some fear or something like this, and that is to pull our energy inwards. And that's not a bad thing, to bring your energy inwards when there are things that for good reason you need to protect yourself, and you need to maintain your resources around you rather than just letting your resources drift away. And some of this ties in very, very much with the ideas of self-isolation and all of this sort of thing, and hand washing. But what we don't want to do is contract so much, because this is what happens when we pull our energy in, contract so much that we block it up and we stop. So it's one thing to draw it in, it's quite another thing to contract so much that we block the energy. And so we want to make sure that, yes, bring your energy in, have some extra care for yourself, extra attention, but make sure you keep doing some of those very things that keep you happy and healthy. And that includes Qigong. And so I hope, if I'm able to get these sort of live or streaming classes running, that's going to support people in doing that. One of the big things is even just remembering to stop and breathe. Again, one of the things we do when we're overwhelmed, we have a tendency to hold our breath. If all you can do is stop for a moment, tune into your breathing, let it become deeper and full again, you're going to help the energy to start circulating. You're going to help to keep things working really well, so you can keep your own immunity strong through this time. And again, it's not just the difficulty of the disease, it's the difficulty of all of the reaction and the craziness going on in the world around it. So anyway, that's my update. Again, hopefully a few things that are useful in there. I'm sure there'll be some more updates soon. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.